Most real estate agents who are making outbound calls, either cold calling through circle prospecting or expireds, or calling from lead generation and advertising from opt-in leads, come across leads who do objections, and it can feel really disheartening and lower your morale whenever you constantly hit objections and feel like you can't go anywhere and you just have to go move on to the next person and hang up. And you may wonder, is this even worth calling? It takes forever to reach somebody, and when I finally do, they don't want to talk to me. So we're going to be having a discussion today with Dale Archdekin, who is the founder of Smart Sales Coaching. Did I say that right? Smart Sales Coaching, for how to address these objections and how to get past those hurdles to have a true conversation with someone and start a relationship with them. Before we do, Dale, people who don't know you, I'm sure most people do, but people who don't, they're probably wondering, why should I listen to this guy? So can you share a little bit about your background and why people should trust what you're about to teach?
Sure, absolutely. So now for the last 8 years, I'm the founder of Smart Sales Coaching, and we've been teaching scripting and dialogue and sales management and optimization to teams and agents and brokers all across the US and Canada. But originally, when I got into real estate, I sold real estate for 5 or 6 years. I was primarily a listing agent. So I got to the point where I was selling 5 to 7 for sale by owners, expireds for rent by owners on a monthly basis, which takes a lot of uncomfortable conversations with people who don't want to talk to you and want to say no to you. Then I went on to partner up with a guy in my market, and we built what became the #2 team in the Philadelphia market and a top 5 KW mega team. About 8 years ago, I started my own coaching and training company. One of the specialties that I had developed over the course of developing that big team that we scaled was developing a training system for salespeople that could take a new salesperson off the street, combine them with our average lead mix and our scripting and dialogue techniques, and they could produce 50 to 60 transactions in their first 12 months. So that's where a lot of the frameworks that we teach within my company come from, a lot of the training techniques and tactics and the way that we approach teaching salespeople.
So what inspired you to transition away from your real estate career over to coach?
It's funny, just to be honest, I didn't enjoy the selling of houses as much. What I discovered is that for me, it was like, hey, I figured out how to take listings. I figured out how to sell real estate. And then I wanted to teach other people how to do it. And so that's really kind of what caused me to partner up with that guy in my market. And we built and scaled that team. And in full disclosure, I didn't have any ownership in that team. So I was only, I had a salary and I was compensated on the net profit of the company. But at some point I said, I want to take this and I want to take the techniques and skills that I've developed to go from a hardcore outbound listing agent to teach ISAs and agents how to be outbound hardcore listing agents. I want to go and I want to teach other teams and brokers and agents around the country how to do this because there's a massive value to it. So just for clarity's sake, that's not all we teach. Right now, hardcore outbound cold calling is pretty unpopular. A lot of what we teach is how for teams and agents to convert the inbound leads that they have, right? We do a lot of that stuff. Occasionally, clients want us to also teach them how to be, outbound killers, but that's not quite as popular. So we run the full gamut around leads that are coming in this industry and how to best approach them and convert them.
Okay, very good. So there's no shortage of content out there for agents. There's no shortage of courses, webinars, books, and it seems like everyone is teaching something different. So can you share a little bit about your philosophy and how your approach is a bit different than what an agent might typically read in a book or take in a course?
Sure. Are we talking specifically around objection handling or just our whole ethos around teaching sales?
I think your whole ethos around sales.
Okay. A lot of it comes from my own personal development work. So when I went from being a kick your door in, not get off your couch until you sign an agreement with me type of outbound prospector, There was a lot of lost opportunity for building good relationships. There was a lot of lost opportunity for good nurtures. And in fact, I didn't get a lot of referrals because although I got the job done, people didn't like the process. When I went from that to teaching other people how to be great salespeople, I had to become a sales manager. I had to become a sales trainer. And I didn't know how to be a sales manager, a sales trainer. So in correspondence with that, around the same period of time, I did a lot of personal development work on being happier in my own life. And in a lot of cases, in order for me to be happier in my own life, I had to become more comfortable, not only with myself, but with other people. And in doing so, to give you kind of a short synopsis, working on myself personally, working on the insides caused my outsides to be completely different and got me much better results, not only with clients, but also with my direct reports and the people that I was training. And it also vastly improved my sales skills. So the development of how we teach sales and how we teach perspective really comes from a lot of it being rooted in how do you make a personal connection with real people in the world? And how do you first identify who you are and what's going on internally for you? And how do you recognize that every single consumer that you're interacting with basically has the same fear and trepidation around dealing with a salesperson? And so when you can compartmentalize those things, you can understand yourself, you can understand the consumer better, and it helps you to approach them less in an antagonistic or adversarial way and much more in a collaborative way, like truly collaborative. We say that, but how do you do it, right? Because at the end of the day, I want you to do business with me. I want to get paid from that. You want to say no or avoid me until you're convinced that I'm the best thing for you and that you want to do business with me, right? So how do we boil that down, knowing that that cat and mouse game is true and will never stop? How can I be okay with that? How can I be centered around it? And how can I approach you in a holistic way, understanding who you are and what your thoughts and fears are? That makes you a vastly better salesperson than downloading some scripts off the internet and trying to out logic somebody or argue with them.
Mm. So if out logicking is not the answer, how do you apply your philosophy to objection handling when that's your natural instinct to try to out logic someone?
Yeah, I'm not saying that, quote, when I say out logic, there obviously you will use those elements. But the point is that us teaching a salesperson how to argue with somebody's perspective or how to educate somebody beyond their perspective or how to pressure them into taking an action, while those are sales skills that are valuable, they typically aren't the most important. And just us as people, I mean, everybody knows how to argue, right? You know how to argue your position. You know how to try to get somebody to change their mind. So we don't have to do so much teaching around that in my company. Really, what's lacking is the questioning and the understanding, sort of the pure, like, oh, okay, Elena, you're saying to me, not you, not now, or not under these circumstances. Let me just understand you first without trying to change your mind. Because you most likely have already thought through whatever it is you said to me, right? You've weighed your options. You've decided that you've come up with a solution, whether that's to do things in a certain way or not do things at all, or procrastinate or do them in a different way, right? Or at a different time. You've done all of that. So for me to immediately try to argue with you or change your mind or get you to see a different perspective, you're not open to it. You're not ready for it. And oftentimes it fails. So what's better instead is for me to say, all right, Elena's saying no, not now, not with you, not under these circumstances. Let me understand it the way that Elena understands it. But I have to do that by asking you pure discovery questions, right? I can't be leading you. I can't be trying to manipulate you. The best thing to do is ask you a pure discovery question, which would help highlight how you came to that conclusion, right? How you made those decisions, what you think you're going to get out of doing it that way or at that time or with that person or under those circumstances. Because when I can get those answers, sometimes the reality is you've chosen probably what the best path is for yourself, right? And it would be inauthentic for me to argue against that. In some cases, you've chosen a wrong path or a less productive path based on wrong information, right?
Mm.
Or based on assumptions that aren't true, or based on hypothetical ideas. So if I can do pure discovery, I can figure out which one of those it is. And so if you're making a decision based on erroneous information or on a hypothetical that isn't reality, then I can offer you different information to consider and potentially a different process, right? Sooner with me or under these conditions. Whereas, if I determine you've really made the best decision for yourself at that point, well, what's a logical next step for us, right? If you say, no, not now, not with you, okay, well, then when? Under what conditions? And under what conditions could it be with me? If then, right? Then we can run an if then with you. Does that all make sense? Did any of that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw an interesting Instagram post just yesterday that correlates with what you said, where another sales guru was saying there's a difference between manipulation and persuasion or just being helpful. As a salesperson, you want to avoid being a manipulator because, like you said, you got the job done, but people didn't like the process. They may not have even liked you. They just did it because you manipulated them or out logicked them in a way where they felt pressured to work with you. But how can you show some examples of discovery questions that an agent can ask to help lower the guard of a lead and help open the door to a productive conversation? Can we go through some examples?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. If you have some objections that you want to read off, do you want to break from the podcast? Do you want me to say that we sent some? Do you want to say, hey, I have a list here, or Dale provided them? How do you want to preface that?
I'm gonna do a mixture. I have some of my own that I might
Okay.
put you on the spot for.
Okay.
So I'll just say, yeah, I've got some objections
Sure.
on mind.
So let's get warmed up then. We'll warm up on the ones I sent you.
Okay.
How do we introduce the fact that you have those questions in front of you?
So Dale, I know that you sent me a list of the most common objections that agents face every day and all day on phone calls. So I'm going to go through some of the ones you sent me, and then I'm going to put you through on the spot afterward and give you some ones that you didn't send me. So one of the ones I see is
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to
yeah.
explain what I'm going to do and where it comes from, and then we'll do it. So what we've developed, and in a lot of cases, what we see with salespeople is they aren't very good at asking good questions into the face of an objection, right? And they just haven't practiced that. They all want to argue, or they want to educate, or they want to persuade, when in fact, what they need to do is just understand first, seek to understand. And here's the problem. Let me talk to you a little bit about when a prospect objects. They're thinking a couple of things. When they say no, not yet, not under these circumstances, the prospect, the lead, is thinking, I'm right and I'm justified, right? If you think about that, they're thinking, don't try to change my mind or argue with me. And they're thinking, hopefully, this ends the conversation with this salesperson. Because in reality, Elena, where in your life do you enjoy just talking to salespeople unless you're ready to buy something or you have a question you need answered? Ever? Do you ever just, no, you don't, right? You don't want to deal with a salesperson. So especially when you're saying no, salesperson, not you, not now, the clock is ticking, right? Especially when I'm talking to a leader prospect, the clock is ticking, man. They want to be out of that conversation. So what we developed to help teach salespeople how to ask really great questions is we created this thing called the question game. And I'm going to demonstrate it for you today when you read these objections to me. And really, in the objection or the question game, we say you have to ask a direct question, not an indirect question. And what I mean by that is, Elena, if you said, Dale, I'm not going to buy a house right now. And I said, oh, got it, Elena. Well, what neighborhood would you like to be in when you do buy? That is an indirect question because it doesn't help me understand why you said you're not going to buy now. Versus Elena, how did you decide not to buy now? That is a direct question that will help me understand how you're making that decision. It just gets to it faster, right? So it has to be direct and not indirect. I can't make you wrong. I can't try to close you. And I can't use the word why, because I
Mm.
could have said, Elena, why aren't you buying a house now? Another reality about human interaction, if you think about this, when in your life has anything good ever started from another human being with the word why?
Why? Yeah.
Almost never, right? It's confrontational. So we just don't use the word why, we just change it, but we're essentially asking the same question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing I've learned is tone. Just the way that you ask your question too, the questions you're going to share can make a big difference, not just the words, but how you say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So let
Good.
me pull one up here. Um, yeah, I was just calling on this house that I saw for sale at 123 Main Street because I wanted to talk to the listing agent directly. I don't want to talk to you.
Oh, got it. Okay. What's important about talking to the listing agent directly? That's one. Let me demonstrate another question for you. Say the same thing that you did again.
Uh, y- Thanks, but I only want to work with the listing agent. Can you forward me to the listing agent?
Oh, got it. I'm curious. What's important about working with the listing agent to you? Let's do it another one. Say exactly what you said again.
Okay. Yeah, but I really only want to talk to the listing agent.
Oh, got it. Have you worked with a listing agent before?
Mm.
So I'm demonstrating how into the face of this, I don't have to get rattled and I can just start by asking you good discovery questions. One of the problems with a lot of sort of linear objection handling paragraphs or things that people will sell you is that it's not linear. Conversation is not linear. It doesn't fit because whatever comes out of your mouth now is going to determine what I do next, if that makes sense. If you shut me down, that's going to be different versus you explaining to me that you have experience working directly with listing agents, or that your uncle told you that was the way to go, or that you said, I don't know, I just thought should talk to the listing agent because I'm interested in this house. Whatever comes out of your mouth determines what I'm going to do next. And that is what a really great salesperson does. And nobody can write that stuff out for you. That's why these linear objection handling processes that you download from the internet aren't going to work for you. They might work for you like in one scenario out of 10 or 20, but you've got to learn how to dance. You've got to learn how to take your conversation where it goes. So, do you want to keep demonstrating this? What do you think of this questioning thing, Elena?
I like it. It kind of it changes your mind, the lead's mindset, where they were going down one path in their mind of how the conversation was going to go, and then your question was totally different than what I was expecting from the salesperson. And so then that made me pause and actually think about the question you're asking rather than being ready for like a fight, basically an argument.
Good, good. And the important thing here is you personally are a certain personality type. So the way that you're going to react, the way that you're going to think is unique to you based on your personality type. And another different type of personality is going to think and respond differently. So as a salesperson, me asking you a question, pushing it back onto you will also demonstrate for me what sort of personality type you are based on how you react, right? So if you're a driver and you say, hey, I want to talk to the listing agent, I say, oh, got it. What's important about talking to the listing agent? A driver might be like, don't try that Jedi mind trick shit with me, dude. I just want to talk to the listing agent. Are you the listing agent or not? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in the face of that, I got to do something entirely different than probably what Elena's going to do. So that's my point, that when you start with good questions, you get two things out of it. It very quickly helps you understand who you're talking to, what personality type they are, and helps you direct the conversation to get them to divulge how they think and what's important to them.
Love it. Can I give you another one?
Sure.
I'll list my house with you, but I'm not going to offer any commission to the buyer agent.
Oh, got it. Okay. How did you decide not to offer commission to the buyer's agent?
It's my
Let's do it.
money.
Let's do another one.
Okay. Same objection, just different question.
You could do the same objection. Sure.
Uh, yeah, but I don't want to offer any buyer agent commission. I'll only pay you.
Oh, okay. Got it. Have you sold a home before without offering buyer agent compensation?
No.
Okay. Do you want to do? I'm just demonstrating how to come up with questions on the fly into the
Yeah.
face of an objection. And the great thing about this is I don't have to figure out what to say to you beyond the question. I just take your words and I get rid of my own assumptions about what it means or what you mean or where you want to go with the conversation. I push it back onto you.
Yeah.
You want to do another one?
Yeah. So let's pretend that you're calling me because I clicked on an ad on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was just looking. I'm not looking to buy.
So let's start with what did I say first?
Okay. Do you want me to say what you said first?
Do you want me to do how about I do do you want to tell me what I said in my intro script? Because the intro script matters, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have one that in this scenario that you've given, I've called you because you clicked on a Facebook ad, right? What intro script was that scenario using? What did it sound like? How would they have gotten into the conversation? Tell me what you think.
Well, I'm not a salesperson.
You're a great salesperson. I know you.
I'd say something like, "Hi, Dale. Hi, this is Elena with ABC Realty. I saw that you clicked on an ad regarding 123 Main Street. I'm curious what prompted you to click on the ad."
Got it. Okay, great. And then the objection that you want to give me was what again?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for calling. I was just looking.
Okay, got it. Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to change your script a little bit and I'm going to do it naturally. Like, let's say that they clicked on the ad, right? Ring, ring, Elena.
Yes, who's this?
Yes, Elena, this is Dale Archdekin with Amazing Realty. I'm giving you a call. I see you just clicked on our Facebook ad with that amazing home over on whatever street. I know you may not be in the market to purchase right now. I just wanted to see if you would be purchasing in the next few months or if you're just like looking around right now.
I was just looking.
Oh, got it. Yeah, a lot of people are. That's pretty normal. Do you currently live in this area or are you relocating here?
I like
Okay.
that.
So here's what we did. You'll notice from the very beginning all the way through, I'll take you through everything that I did. So I matched the way that you answered the phone. You said, yeah, who's this? I said, yeah, Elena, this is Dale, right? I used your name assumptively. I told you who I was. I told you why I was calling, and I asked you what I wanted to know. I even used a little bit of preface to it because, I mean, who the hell wants to be called after they just clicked on something on the internet? So I kind of excused it a little bit and said, that maybe you aren't in the market right now. And then I asked you a pick a path question. Are you buying or do you want to tell me no, not now? And you said, no, not now. And I said, great. I affirmed you. That's usually where people are. And then I asked you a present tense question that lowers the sales resistance for people, right? I lowered the sales pressure. This is one of the standard present tense questions that anybody can answer for you, right? Do you live here now or are you moving here? That's pretty straightforward. So that's how I would go about that. But notice again, it's just a question.
Yeah, you didn't try to directly address my objection. You just were like, oh, okay, well, and then you went on to the next question to continue the conversation.
Yeah, and I want to point this out. You didn't even give me an objection. I'm just looking around is not an objection. That's just the state that you're in currently. And that's a reality, right? If we try to call every single person that we have a name and phone number for, regardless of how they showed up, assuming that they're ready to buy a house or sell a house, that's just a false assumption. So it's not an objection for you to say, I'm just looking around or just having a look, just getting started, right? We're just window shopping. That's not really an objection. If I said, hey, Elena, I'd love to sell you a home today. And you said, no, Dale, I'm not going to buy a home today. That's an objection, right? Got it. Well, Elena, how did you decide not to buy a house today? Right. So it's kind of simplistic, but it just demonstrates the process that we go through with people.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you've given away a lot for free, so I appreciate you sharing all of those great questions, and people watching it, feel free to swipe and steal. But if people want more help from you and your team, is that possible? Do you offer coaching to agents and ISAs?
Of course. I feel like you almost teed that up perfectly. Yes, of course we do. We offer training for agents and ISAs and teams. And people can find us at smartsalescoaching.com. And since this is going on YouTube, I'll give a shameless plug for my podcast called Cash Call, where you can find us at Smart Sales Coaching on YouTube. And we do a weekly show where it's either my co-host and I will play an actual recording of a salesperson and go back and forth and give feedback on it as professional trainers, or in some cases, I bring on live guests like yourself, and they've brought along a series of recordings. And we have a sales training session on YouTube where I go through their calls and give them immediate sales training feedback.
I love that. Awesome. Well, and do you mind really quickly sharing what coaching and training looks like with your team?
Sure. So we typically, our trainers, we have 6 trainers that work for my company, and we usually structure it for an individual. Typically right now is like a 12-week boot camp where someone will sign up, they get put into a small accountability group and assigned a direct trainer. And then they meet once a week with their accountability group and their trainer. In addition to that, we have Monday through Friday, twice daily live Zoom training classes that all of our clients get access to. Those are auxiliary sort of supplemental training so that somebody who's in that boot camp can also do additional practice throughout the week on a technique or skill. And what we focus on is initially when somebody comes to us, we have these 4 key skills that we need them to demonstrate in order to, quote, graduate. So when you start with us, we measure where you're at in your intros, objections, value proposition, and closing skills. And then we want to measure you on the way out to make sure that we've made a vast improvement in your ability in those 4 key skill areas. If you're a team, we typically do a 24-week training session with your team and a dedicated trainer, where the trainer takes the team members on Zoom, interactive through all of our material, and make sure that the trainees can demonstrate mastery of the stuff we're teaching them.
I'm curious, do you practice what you preach? Does your team do any sales calls for potential clients for Smart Sales Coaching? And do you follow like the same philosophy for what you teach agents?
We do sales calls for, are you asking if my team does outbound sales calling to sell training, or if we provide calling services for clients?
If you do outbound calls, like if you get an inquiry on your website, but no one booked a call with you, do you like salespeople call those people?
Yes. Yes, we do. So yes, we follow up with our inquiries. Yes, we are salespeople. I would say never hire a sales guru or trainer who does not follow up with you. That is a bad sign. Right? I mean, that would make sense. So yeah, of course, we follow up with our sales leads who come in, who inquire about training. Or in some cases, people don't purchase, or they say, I can't afford it. Or we have objections too that we have to deal with all the time. And, you know, in a lot of cases, it comes down to the perception of value, right? And belief of either in themselves or in us. And so, you know, we're constantly working to improve our sales process because we have a proven approach to sales training that generates results. Then it's just a matter of, does the lead believe that that's going to happen? And do they believe in themselves, or do they believe in us to deliver that for them?
This is a self-serving question, but do you coach people outside of the real estate industry?
I do. Me personally, or our team?
Either you or the
So
team.
yes, we do. And I personally take on projects one-on-one, depending on the person, if I think I can add value to them. You know, if you have a local business that is like a dog grooming service, I don't know exactly whether I can add value there. But in the case, like, we have worked with mortgage companies, we've worked with investment companies, we've worked with SaaS companies to train and consult their sales departments. Yes.
Oh, well, we might reach out to you.
Hey, that
We do
sounds
sales
great.
calls too. We follow up as well.
Excellent.
So for people watching, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, so I'll mention it now. If you didn't already, we did an interview in the past with Dale about all about ISAs. So if you currently have one or you're considering one, I'll put that link in the description, as well as a link to Dale's podcast and smart sales coaching. So thank you for your time, Dale. I appreciate it. People find
Thank
this
you.
really
And
helpful.
I wanna give a plug for you, Elena. Everybody that I come across who uses your services to set up their follow-up boss systems loves working with you. So I don't tell you this enough, but I run across a lot of people who are like, yeah, we used Elena. She's great.
Oh, that's so great. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, take care, Dale. I appreciate your time today and enjoy your vacation to London. I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.